Good morning. God has blessed us with another opportunity to come here to worship around the table and to sing songs of praise to God and encouragement, Lord, to one another, all for the express purpose of saying thank you, God, for your richness, for your mercy, and for all that you do for us. It doesn't take long to realize that really sometimes God gets the short end of the stick, doesn't he? We treat God so bad sometimes, but God treats us very generous with his love, very generous with his compassion. And really, when you think about it, all he asks for is a portion, a little bit of our resources financially and our time every week just to give back to him and to say thank you for all of his good, marvelous, and wonderful deeds. Good morning, Trent. I'm glad to see you. Welcome to those who are visiting with us, as well as those who may be enjoying our live stream via social media. We are glad that you are here. It's already been mentioned, but let me elaborate a little bit more on our prayer list this morning. In addition to the things that Brother Harry has mentioned, we're praying for Marcia as she is recovering from an infection. Mozetta is in the hospital, and I'm told that she has had a stroke. I don't have a room number or anything as of yet. We need to also be in prayer for Gail. Gail is dealing with it on two fronts. Her sister and also her husband, who is recovering from surgery, but I also understand, sadly, he needs another surgery once he's strong enough to come through this one. And so let's all pray for everybody concerned, but also I'm asking just a special prayer for Gail. Can you just imagine, where she is right now, being in the middle and taking care of her husband and also her sister? When I have more information about Mozetta and a room number, I will certainly pass that on to you. But right now, the best thing that we can do is pray for Gail, pray for strength, and just pray for all the requests that have been made on the prayer list, as well as the ones that Harry has made as well. Our Ladle of Love is going to take place on October 25th from 12 noon until 2 p.m. Or until the food runs out. If it runs out at 1:30, guess what? We're done. And so I really enjoy the Ladle of Love. I enjoy serving the community. I enjoy just helping people, because it wasn't that long ago, me personally, a cup of soup or some pasta salad and a sandwich would have gone a long way. And that's why we do what we do in Trent, not to show off, but to really try and be God's hands and be God's feet. And y'all don't hear the comments. They send the comments to me like I'm doing all the work, and I'm really not. But when they compliment me, they're complimenting you. Several people in the area have said that they're so glad that this ministry exists. And I did not know this. I'll get into the message. It won't be that long. I did not know that people that are on Meals on Wheels does not come on the weekend. I did not know that. And so just being able to provide food to people who need it is just going a long, long way. So continue to pray for this effort. It's not our effort alone. We've joined forces in this ministry with the Baptist Church and with the Methodist Church. I think that's the reason there's a cookie in that little bag. So, and what else? Someone from the community, yeah, is actually, I think she likes to bake, and she's putting cookies in there. I'm trying my best to stay away from them cookies. I'm trying my best to stay away from those cookies. But thank you for everyone who is working. As the weather changes, it'll go from pasta salad to soup. I think because the weather's warm, they went with a pasta salad. But as the weather cools off, it'll go back to soup. So thank you for all those who are working with that and working to help that ministry. You just never know how much of a blessing soup or pasta salad and a sandwich. It might seem like a small thing to some of us, but you just never can tell how that blesses other people. Trent Trunk or Treat is going to take place on that Saturday, also the 25th. So when we finish with Ladle of Love, we'll do Trunk or Treat. It'll be from 5 to 6:30 p.m. in the parking lot between the post office and the bank. And so, again, an opportunity to serve the community, to serve, I would say the children, but I've seen some grown folk out there, but a chance to also just serve the community. And that'll be from 5 until 6:30 p.m. There's also, last announcement, and then I'll get into the lesson. There's also a gospel meeting that's going to take place at the Church of Christ in Colorado City from October 26th to the 29th. I'm going to encourage us to attend this meeting. I got to talk to the men, but I want us to, on that Wednesday night, dismiss our services here and attend that meeting in Colorado City. Brother Dave Rogers, I think from the Merkel Church, is going to be doing the preaching. He's an outstanding preacher. And more than that, what I'm really trying to encourage us to do is to fellowship more with congregations, our sister congregations. We did a little bit of that yesterday. I'll tell you more about that at Remington Ridge. But I'm encouraging all of us just to join forces and encourage especially our sister congregations. And I'll have more information for you on that. But I'm encouraging us to attend this gospel meeting and the 26th through the 29th with our brother Dave Rogers at the Church of Christ in Colorado City. Let's continue this month where I've been talking about love beyond borders. I want to talk about compassion beyond the community. What does it mean to have compassion? It's one thing to put your feet in somebody else's shoes, but this compassion needs to go beyond just our community of Trent, just beyond Birch Street, and really it needs to take a regional approach. See, one of the many constant themes, if you read through the Bible, one of the many constant themes that you're going to come across is that love is not meant to be contained. Love always is on the move. You see that in the Old Testament, but especially in the life of Jesus. When Jesus would help people and he would show love, it was never just in one spot. Jesus would show compassion, he'd show ministry, and he'd always be on the move. It's not confined just to the pews or to our property lines. It flows beyond our church walls, and it should flow into the world around us. That's why Paul commended, and I mentioned this last week, the church in Thessalonica. He encouraged those believers for their love, saying that the love and the gift that they shown has spread throughout the whole region of Macedonia. Likewise, our compassion must not stop at the edge of our congregation. It doesn't need to stop just here on Birch Street. And let me go off script for the first time in this lesson. I know that me encouraging us to show love in our community has been a reach for some. Okay? Local evangelism is not on the radar of some people, and I'm aware of that. But it is still biblical anyhow. If I choose to not believe that, that's on me. But the Bible teaches us when it comes to showing love and reaching out in evangelism, Acts chapter 1, that the gospel started first in Jerusalem, then in Judea and Samaria, then it spread to the uttermost parts or the rest of the world. And that's our template, and that's the template I've been using for outreach. And I'm aware that it has been a bit much for some people. I get that. All I'm asking you to do is read your Bible and accept what the Bible has to say. Likewise, our compassion must not stop at the edge of our congregation. It should spill over into the surrounding body of believers. I want to read for you today the first 8 verses of the book of Philippians. I want you to listen to how Paul is bragging on the church at Philippi. We'll go back to 2 Corinthians 8, about mid part of this lesson. And I want you to see that when it comes to building each other up and fellowship among believers, it was never designed just to be person to person only, or isolated within just one congregation and not shared with the community. Philippians 1. And really what I want you to take away from this, if we're talking about compassion, and if we're talking about showing love beyond borders, then it needs to be beyond the borders of our congregation, and it needs to reach out regionally, and I would push back and argue even to the rest of the world when it comes to encouraging other congregations of the Lord's church, and thus the body of Jesus Christ. Listen to what Paul said and how he was bragging on the church at Philippi. Chapter 1, verse 3, I thank my God every time I remember you. In all my prayers for all of you, I always pray with joy. Well, why, Paul? Why are you praying with joy? Because of your partnership in the gospel. You look at that word partnership in its original language, it's the same word that we use for collaboration. You know, I don't have all the answers. You don't have all the answers. But when we put our heads together, I used to tell my children this all the time, and they thought I was joking, half joking, but I was serious. I said, you know, we as a family, individually, we may not have all the answers, but when we put our heads together, we're dangerous. we can get it. We can figure it out. You know what? That's the same in the church. You know, you may not have all the answers. I for sure don't have all the answers. But when we collaborate, when we put our efforts and pool our resources, there is nothing, Trent, that we cannot do, irregardless of our size. And again, let me go off script one more time. You know, it bothers me when people, and we don't do it here, but I've heard churches, smaller church, well, now, you know, we just small. We can't do nothing, but we just small holding on. Yeah, you're going to be small holding on with that attitude. You really are. And I'm glad we don't do that here. We stay within our means and our resources, but never think of yourself small. Because if you think of yourself small, that's all you're going to be, small. Okay, let's go back to our regularly scheduled programming. Because of your partnership in the gospel, from the first day until now, being confident of this, he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Jesus Christ. Do you hear what he's saying now? You got to have a little bit of the backstory. This church at Philippi raised some money among the churches in that area, not just one congregation. They raised some money, and when Paul was in jail, they took him some money. They took care of him. And he's now writing back saying, you know what? I'm so thankful that you guys took care of me when I couldn't take care of myself. See, that's why a ladle of love means so much to me, because it wasn't that long ago that some people reached out when I needed some food. Oh, it wasn't here in Trent. It was in Abilene, actually. But you always take advantage when you can pay it forward. Now, they had no reason to think or to know how bad I was hurting. And you know what? They didn't even come and interrogate me to ask me why I was hurting. You know what they did? They just sat a bag of groceries on my porch because they knew I was in need. I never forgot that. That's the love we need to have one for another. And Paul is saying here, it is right for me to feel this way about you, since I have you in my heart, and whether I'm in chains or defending the gospel, all of you share in God's grace with me. That's the idea. We share in God's grace with each other. God can testify how I long for all of you with the affection of Jesus Christ. Did you hear it? He is thankful because they pooled their resources and they came together and they ministered to him in a time of need. Those who have struggles with local evangelism and local ministry, if this isn't local, I don't know what is. You might not have all the money in the world, but see, your $2 with my $1, $3 can go a lot further than one or two. And we pool our resources and we help each other in that regard. Let me give you three things to take with you. And I'm trying to show you today that we are not only just a congregation, but we are a part of community of believers. That's why I'm encouraging us to go and support other local congregations, especially in the body of Jesus Christ, how we can encourage each other. Let me give you three things about this that we can take from us. Number one is a command that we've got to love beyond ourselves. And I couldn't think of a better spot to start, because I think these days we've gotten so selfish. I think we have. I think we're all struggling. We're all dealing with issues, but we have forgotten how to look outside and beyond ourselves to help other people. It doesn't seem like it was that long ago, but when I was growing up, neighbors would have gardens. And it was not uncommon that one person had too much squash or too much okra, more than what they could eat. And you know what they did? They told, send Junior down here to come get some of these squash. And I'd get a basket. It was a bushel basket back then. And I'd go get all the squash. And then all of a sudden, if Dad had too much corn, take this down and take this, Uncle Charlie. Okay. Wait a minute. Why am I being the pack mule for? No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. But that was a part of the culture back then. And I think we've lost that. I really do. I think we have lost that. But we really congregationally need to not lose that in helping each other and then helping other people. John 13:34 and 35. You remember what Jesus said? By this all people will know that you are my disciples, if you have love one for another. He didn't say interrogation. The idea is we need to show love. This command wasn't given only just to strengthen the internal relationships between the disciples and Jesus Christ, or inter-congregational relationship. No. It was designed to create a testimony that was viable to those who were watching in the world. By this, all people will know, says to me, they are watching you, and they have every right to watch you. Because if you claim to be a Christian, yet out in the world, in public, you act in any and every kind of way, they have a right to raise an eyebrow. Or to, as you would say, judge me unfairly. But I don't think it's unfairly, because our lives are supposed to be an example of the believers. I was very proud yesterday of the time we had at the Remington Ridge congregation, just for churches to come together really from all over, Colorado City, Roby, all the names I can't remember, but all of us came together just to fellowship and encourage each other in the work that we're all doing. Now, that means something to me, and it should mean something to you. And if you'll notice in the picture, you may not be able to tell, these are not exactly, there were some young people there, but it wasn't exactly spring chickens. And the concern I have, I told my wife this on the way home, the concern I have is, it doesn't seem like it's going to be that long ago or much more time. We got to get the young people to have the same kind of faith, or future generations of the Lord's church are going to be in trouble. And we have to now do a job, and should have been doing all along, of passing along our faith. How do we do that in a practical sense? Things like this. The next Fifth Sunday singing is going to be in Roby. And I think it's on the last Sunday. I want to say November 30th. That's probably wrong. But the last Sunday in November, I'm encouraging us to sacrifice a little time. And let's go and support the congregation in Roby. See, when nearby churches and Christians see us reaching out and not competing, but we're cooperating, see, that sends a message. Because I think we live in a very competitive society where in the Lord's church, we don't need to be competing. We need to be cooperating. When they see that, they see Christ's heart model made visible. In other words, by this all people will know that you are my disciples. How? By this love, this spirit of sharing, this spirit of cooperation, this spirit of encouragement one to another. Our love identifies us as his followers more than our logos, our labels, or our location ever could. Secondly, Paul in Philippians 1 talked about how those congregations came together and they collaborated. They pooled their resources for one common goal and for one common good. I thank God for the believers who partnered with him on the gospel from the first day until now. In other words, they didn't just quit when things got rough. They partnered together. They hooked together. They shared together. And I really like that, because if that spirit of cooperation really exists like it should, then Trent, guess what? There are going to be some things we'll need to partner, like we've done with the Ladle of Love, but other sister congregations of the Lord's church, mission efforts, we're going to need to partner together on for the common good. See, the early church thrived because they shared their resources, they shared their encouragement, and yes, they even shared their burdens. Compassion calls us to collaboration, not comparison. And I know we don't have that problem here in Trent because we're not a large congregation, but in Abilene, I can tell you there is a certain sense, I'm sad to say, of a spirit of competition among the churches. And it really shouldn't be that. We should encourage each other, and so much more, Hebrews says, as we see the day approaching. Let me give you this Bible verse. I think an example of this is, I mentioned this last week, but I don't think I did that text as much justice as I want to unpack it now. 2 Corinthians chapter 8, the churches in Jerusalem were facing some difficult times. And Paul sent word to the churches in the Corinth area to say, hey, let's see if we can all pool some resources and help the brethren in Jerusalem. Now, what I may not have made clear last week, I want to make clear now. The churches in the area of Corinth were Gentiles. The churches in Jerusalem were Jewish. And usually, culturally back then, never the twain would meet. But the gospel brought them all together till those churches in Corinth planned, in some cases, a year in advance. They set money aside. Paul sent Titus through that region to come pick up that offering, that money, and take it back to the churches in Jerusalem as a part of the relief effort. Now you've got the backstory. Listen to how Paul wrote the text. And now, brothers and sisters, we want you to know about the grace of God, the grace that God has given to the Macedonian churches in the midst of their very severe trial. In other words, they were poor. They were dirt poor. But it says to me that even though I'm dirt poor and I might not have as much as somebody else has, I'm willing to share what I have to help somebody else. In the midst of their severe trial, their overflowing joy and their extreme poverty welled up in rich generosity. For I testify, they gave as much as they were able, and even beyond their ability, entirely on their own. They urgently pleaded with us for the privilege. They see the attitude? That's why you hear me keep saying it's not about what you look at or your size. It's about your attitude. See, their attitude was, okay, yes, I might be poor, but I can certainly do something. I might not have as much as somebody else, but I can give this much. And that's what they did. They exceeded our expectations. Why? Because they gave themselves first of all to the Lord. When God has you, He's not going to have a problem getting your money. I'm going to say it one more time. When God completely has you, He's not going to have a problem getting your money. Conversely, if God doesn't have you, then you got to pry that dollar out of my cold, dead fingers. And that's not right. We need to have our attitude right when it comes to God. So we urge Titus, just as he had done earlier, made from the beginning, to bring also to completion this act of grace on your part. What does that mean? We don't need to use our poverty as an excuse. Everybody can do something when it comes to the gospel of Jesus Christ. Last one, and then I'm done. They showed, outside of the spirit of collaboration, they showed a connection. This connection that also proved to strengthen the kingdom. You should have seen the people at Remington Ridge yesterday as we were coming from different congregations just to sing a song. And they had these little guys, these little song leader boys. And them boys got up there. Mama, you heard them. Them boys got up there and sang songs I'd be scared to sing, and I was singing for years. And they weren't afraid. See, that's the idea that we got to pour into the next generation. See, it's not going to be that much longer, 75, 100 years from now. Y'all going to get the message that Brother Famble has gone on to be with the Lord. And on that day, y'all going to be sad. There's going to be about a month of mourning, and y'all going to be crying. Oh, y'all not crying? Okay, never mind. I'm just kidding. But we have to serve while we can. And then we got to sit down and take our rest. And all I'm saying is my contribution to this, make sure our attitude is right. If we don't do anything else, make sure that we're giving for the right reason. We're doing things for the right reason. We're helping out not only because God commands it, but because it's the right thing to do. That starts with me serving and having a connection in God's kingdom. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 16. From him the whole body joined, held together by every supporting ligament that grows, builds itself up in love. Paul uses Ephesians 4 as the body's analogy. And he's really saying that each and every part of the human body serves a purpose. And just like the human body, the members of the spiritual body, we serve a purpose as well. No congregation can complete the mission alone. God designed us to grow together through shared strength. No one person has all the answers. No one person can do everything all on their own. Look at what he says in Ephesians 4, last text. Instead, speaking the truth in love will grow to become in every respect the mature body of him who is the head, that is Christ. From him, the whole body joined and held together by every supporting ligament grows and builds itself up in love as each part does its work. See, in the church, I heard it explained like this: there's no big I's and little U's. All of us bring to the table what God has given us, those gifts, so that we can serve each other. See, our brotherhood shouldn't be bound by buildings. It's built on and in Christ. Our compassion has got to ripple outward like the waves from a stone that you drop in the water, from the congregation to the community and then to the world. When we link our arms with believers that are around us, we give our region a living picture of Jesus' love. And that's been my job that I've been really trying to do here in Trent, starting with our own community. Because I think they had a bad picture of us years ago, and I've been working to try to change that. The Trent Church of Christ cares about this community. We love this community, and we want to serve this community. It's becoming more and more visible, but sadly it wasn't before, but it is now. And God is really blessing us as a result of that paradigm shift. When we link arms one with another, with believers around us, we give our region a living picture of Jesus' love. It's active, it's expansive, and it is unstoppable. And each and every one of you here plays a vital part in that particular mission, in the role that we have to do. We are God's hands and we are God's feet. And we show the love of Christ in our lives as it radiates and permeates through us out into the community. Well, how does it start? It starts with me personally. It starts with me making sure that I'm living in such a way, not perfect at all, but I'm living in such a way where God's love is radiating and permeating in my life. And we all sin and we all fall short of the glory of God. And the invitation time is a time for us to do one of three things. Number one, we can ask for prayer. If there's some things going on, like on our prayer list that we need prayer about, you can ask us to pray. Number two, if in fact you have a Bible question, you can ask your question. Or number three, if in fact you have sinned and you want to make that right before you go out into the world this upcoming week, you can ask for prayer and make a confession as well. Or if you even want to start your relationship with God, you want to give your life over to God, but you don't know how. You come by hearing the gospel, believing it, repenting of your sins, confessing Christ, being willing to be baptized in water for the remission of your sins, and God then will add you to his congregational family. Whatever need that you might have, if you're subject to the invitation, we invite you to come now as we stand and sing the words of invitation. Let's stand.